All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Tribeoholics. As you can see, I have my handyman here with me, as always, Marshall Maxwell. Say hey to the people, Marsh.
What's going on, guys? I missed you.
And we have an extremely special guest joining us tonight, Brew Me One on Twitter, aka Brian Ross in the real life, in the flesh. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself, Brian? Go ahead and tell us a little about yourself. When you became a Noel fan, what got you into drinking beers and everything? Because I know you from Twitter and have seen you and begin to follow you a little bit, and I see that you absolutely love your beers. So tell us when you started doing that, and then also a couple of your favorites.
Sure. How long is this podcast?
That's about an hour.
Those are topics that I think a lot of my friends are used to hearing those on repeat whenever we're hanging out or barbecuing or something like that. So I'm Brian Ross. This is my first podcast. So you guys are kind of popping my cherry there. I was a Noel fan before I went to Florida State. My very first game, the little bit of coincidence and timing, my very first game was the Florida State Miami game in 1991. So you guys, I'm sure you're aware of the wide right number one.
Yeah.
I was in high school at the time, but the stadium was still kind of an erector set. It was starting to transition into what Bobby was building it into, and but it was a special atmosphere even with the loss. And I knew at that point that I wanted to go to school at Florida State. So we walked away with a loss, but it was a great time. I sat in the student section. So I was exposed to a lot of the college life that I would get a more deeper taste of a few years later when I enrolled at Florida State. I went back for the 93 game, so I got to see us get a little redemption there and see Charlie Ward lead the team to the championship. And I ended up enrolling at Florida State in 95. I did the 5-year program. It took me 5 years to get a 4-year degree, and those are some pretty good years in the 90s. College football, and Tallahassee was a different beast back then. So you asked me about when I sort of got into beer. I was in college as a freshman, started going to like fraternity keg parties and something like that. The standard fare was Natural Light. If you went to a keg party, they might have had Bud Light, right? Because that was expensive shit back then. So eventually, I started trying some different beers that I could get my hands on. The craft beer scene in the 90s in Florida was non-existent. And so I tried one, I think it was called Mississippi Mud. It was kind of a darker beer. I think they still might sell it. It looks like it's in a pseudo like liquor jug type thing. I tried that and it sort of opened my palate up a little bit. And later that summer, so I was still 18, my first summer of my freshman year, I actually went to a homebrew shop and picked up a bucket, some malt extract, some hops, and a packet of yeast. And I started brewing myself.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I also picked up a book by Charlie Papazian, the How to Brew. And I just read it. I was working nights at the post office for the summer. And I just picked up the hobby. And I've been sort of doing it since. So, and you've seen the beer world change. So Tallahassee now has 3 craft breweries?
Oh yeah. I mean, we have, obviously Proof is the big one that everybody knows down here, and it's a great time. You have Ology as well, which I know you're familiar with, Brian. And then we also have Lake Tribe Brewery, and there's a few more that are newer as well. So I mean, they're just starting to pop up all over the place. Like you were saying, back when you were in college, it wasn't as big of a thing, and now it's just kind of taken over. Like that is the thing to do now, is when you go drinking, is to go to a brewery. You're not going to the club or going to the house parties with the keggers anymore or anything like that.
And there's no Tennessee Street anymore, right? I mean, Tennessee Street exists, but that was the center of going out back in the 90s.
And that was right. I mean, you still have the strip, and you still have Bullwinkles and Poor Paws and all that, but the hub is now in College Town. That's where everyone wants to be every night. That's how it's going to change. I wish people still went to Bullwinkles all the time. That's like my favorite place.
The 90s were fun. I'm making myself sound really, really old right now. But it was great. I mean, the football was awesome. Like if we lost one game in a season, it was kind of a disappointment.
Funny how things have changed.
Yeah. I used to have like a Florida State polo, or if we lost a game, I wouldn't wear that polo anymore because I was like, that's bad luck. I'd have to burn my whole wardrobe right now
Yeah, I'm more of a switching either where I'm sitting or room type guy up to this point. But yeah, go ahead and tell us, because I know I've got a few of my favorite, IPAs and morning beers myself, as well as ales that I like to sip on. So what are a few of your favorites?
So my favorite style in general would be a lot of the Belgian styles. So whether it's a double, a triple, quadruple. There's a brewery out in Belgium called De Cruz. They make a beer called Black Albert, and it's kind of a Belgian take on stouts. It's like 13-14%. It's really strong, I think. But it's one that if you let it sort of sit for a couple of years, it kind of mellows out and
nice.
Really, really smooth. So that's probably anything sort of Belgian is kind of in my wheelhouse.
I'm a big Hoegaarden guy.
Hoegaarden, great, yeah. I've got a Belgian wit that I've got kegged right now. I'm not drinking it right now. Right now I'm drinking an IPA that I brewed. It's like a New England style IPA.
Nice.
It's all the rage right now with the hazy, cloudy IPAs.
For good reason. They're good.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part of the whole process?
It's definitely not the sanitizing and the cleaning. It's the brewing, right? So standing over the kettle, mashing in the grains, because you're kind of it's a process that sort of takes a long time. So I've got an excuse to sort of step aside from being a dad and babysitting the kids and stuff, and I'll grab a cigar, I'll pour myself a home brew. And just hang out for a couple hours and just sort of get some unplugged time. So.
Man, I'm getting into the wrong profession. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's a great hobby. There's a lot of opportunity there. I think even though we have a ton of breweries that opened up, there's still a lot of demand for it. But it's a great hobby, even if you just do it as a casual, fun thing.
Marshall and I have a buddy who kind of got into it a little bit when he was in college himself, but I don't think he's continued it like you have. So you seem like you've got a legitimate system going on up there. And you said you're in Roswell, right?
Yeah, Roswell, Georgia.
Beautiful area. I love going up, that part of Georgia and everything. So I'm sure it's a real good hit. I know there's plenty of breweries up there as well. So I'm sure you're enjoying it.
Yeah, we try to call it Nashville West, right?
Yeah.
Not quite that level, but we've got some pretty good breweries around here.
Yeah. So are you ever able to make it to any games at all?
It's been I've gone to more of the road games. So like when the Knowles come to Atlanta, got a little bit of a bad streak there between Georgia Tech. I think the last time I went to Tallahassee was probably about 3 years ago.
Oh.
But I've gone to a couple bowl games. I flew out to California for the 2013 championship.
Man.
Marshall, you were there, weren't you?
No, I wish. Not looking back, hindsight's 2020. If I could go back, I would spend whatever money I had to spend to be there for that, because I don't know how long it's going to be until we get there again.
Yeah, we will at some point.
We will. We have to.
That was a once-in-a-lifetime trip.
Yeah, I wish I would have gone too, because that was my freshman year. So you were talking about, Brian was talking, you were talking about how you were there in the heyday, you got to see Charlie Ward and all of that and stuff like that. So my freshman year was 2013, and I'm coming in here. Sorry, people, I grew up a UF fan, so I come into Florida State and I'm totally just blown away by my experience my freshman year, and basically because of the football team. And now I can't, ever stand the team that I grew up, loving for the majority of 17, 18 years. So for a team to be able to do that for me, it absolutely blew me away. And I love being a Florida State Seminole now, and I soak it in even in the worst of times like we are in right now. So
And basketball teams are picking up the slack. Those are fun.
Yeah, that is very true. What? Good.
I would say it's different now. Like, we were spoiled. We just won all the time. We were just better than everybody for a long, long time. And we got a little taste of it in the early 2000s, where we kind of took a step back. We had the Jeff Bowden era. We transitioned back to being really good again. We're kind of back a lot deeper than we were before. So we'll have to climb ourselves out.
Yeah, and we'll get into that a little bit later when we start talking, ball a little bit. But I know Brian kind of, filled us in on what he is drinking tonight, which is a nice little New England style home brew, right? You said you brewed it yourself. So that's pretty awesome stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and send it out to, any fans out there watching. Go ahead and feel free and comment and let us know what you're sipping on. We're going to talk a little bit about that before we get talking about ball. So I myself am drinking a Imperial Sunshine Blonde Ale, still 9.6% alcohol, which I was blown away that a blonde ale was that high up in percentage, but made by Blue Point. So a great brewing company that a lot of people are familiar with. It's very tasty. It's got a nice little tangerine taste to it as well. So I'm really enjoying it.
I couldn't get to the store, so I'm drinking shitty wine. I'm really jealous of y'all. I was gonna go try to get some Rome City, some hometown brew. I'm from Polk County. That's brewed out of Lakeland. It's a really good tasting IPA, but I'm not, so I'm not gonna elaborate.
Anybody? Yeah, okay, we got somebody. Just cracked a nice cold Bush. Nice grapes. This is one of my buddies from back in college. Drinking a nice Bush Light over there. So I mean, better than natural in my opinion. Drank too much.
Natty Light again.
I think there's a period of about I think it was like Super Bowl about 3 years ago, and I had about 4 natural lights, and it's almost halftime of the game, and I'm like, I just start feeling all hot and dizzy, and I think I just had an allergic reaction to it because I just drank it so much through college that since then I don't drink natural light, but I'd go with the Bush over a Natty.
Was that a part of my DNA for a little bit? It was that bad.
What do you guys tailgate with? What do you guys usually drink when you're tailgating?
Probably Natty. Bush, and then all the seltzers have made a big come up, so that's what all the girls want to drink. So it's against my religion, I can't touch that.
Seltzers.
Hey, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I understand. Fridge is a little bare. You got to just deal with what you have. So it happens to everyone. But for game days and tailgates, I usually start my mid-morning off with a mimosa. I know people want to give me crap because I don't drink bloodies or whatever, but I just don't understand why you got to put tomato juice in an alcoholic drink. It doesn't make sense to me. So I just go with a mimosa to start the day off, and then just kind of gradually pick it up. I'll drink some lighter beers in the middle of the day as we're getting ready, and then usually when it's time for game time, as long as I'm not at the game, or if we go to somewhere, we usually try and go to a brewery. If not a brewery, I'm watching it on the couch. And that's usually when I start to have my nicer beers is during the game. And then, if it's a bad game, then the liquor comes out.
Oh, yeah.
It's a progression for me.
I forget the whole day. Yeah.
This season, the year that we kept coming back, I would start off with a nice beer, first half we'd be losing. And then second half, I'm just hitting the bourbon hard. and then you're so jacked up by the time we won the game. There were times where I'd be up to 2, 3 in the morning, just trying to chill myself out. The game being over.
Right, so you at least get a little bit of better sleep.
Yeah, I bet there's a lot of destroyed furniture in Tallahassee that season.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
It was tough, but I mean, it's better than where we're at now, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, we were good. I thought we were bad that season. Now looking back, we were still good.
We found a way to win every time.
Yeah,
except for once. Right?
That team was so loaded, but they didn't. I don't know. They just weren't as disciplined as should have been, I guess.
Yeah. So we'll move on here, and we'll just get into little quick hitters and see what you guys think about it. So obviously we got Jacksonville State coming up next weekend. That's gonna be a 4 p.m. kickoff, which I was surprised it's that late, but I guess they're trying to, spread out the times a little bit. Remember the last time we played Jacksonville State, it was not all that fun to watch. But I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that, or just we can move on.
I hope we get a win. All I can say.
I think we might have actually lost to bye last week.
Right. As long as we don't, win the game off of a missed field goal, I'll be okay.
Yeah, at least 2 touchdowns. Give us a little cushion, please. I'm tired of being anxious.
Yeah. And perhaps some, huge news. We got Coach Prime now. Coach, Deion Sanders, prime time, as we all know him, is heading to Jackson State and HBCU to become their next head coach. So what are you guys' thoughts on that? I'm pretty intrigued to hear what your thoughts.
Jackson State's going to be in the SEC in 4 years. I'm just kidding. Good for him. I never seen him coach at a college. No one has at a college level. I mean, he's doing good at his son's high school, really good. I know he's committed to excellence, and I'm sure he'll get a good staff around him. So at that level, I think he can really succeed. I don't know if he's going to try to use it as a stepping stone to get into bigger leagues, get into like in FSU's realm or something. But that'd be exciting to watch, and I'm a Jackson State fan. Let's go.
Yeah, you got to root for him, right? I mean, he's got the knowledge. He's got a little bit of experience, right? But when the talks about him possibly being a candidate for the Florida State job came up, it didn't seem to really make sense.
Right.
He didn't have the big level type of experience. So if he's ultimately wanting to get into, Division I coaching, Jacksonville State's a good, not Jacksonville State, Jackson State is a good stepping stone. It's a good place for him to sort of cut his teeth and really see what he can do.
Yeah, and we've seen him. I think he was the offensive coordinator on his son's team. So, I mean, obviously he's got coaching experience, and we've all saw what he did as a player, not only in college, but the NFL as well. So, I mean, one of the best corners to ever come out of the game. He knows this stuff. And I mean, if anybody wants to say he doesn't, then that's a problem in my opinion. But he knows his shit, and he's going to get the job done. And if he can't motivate, I think he'll be a great head coach. I mean, he's just a great motivator overall. I mean, I pay attention to like his morning verses every morning and everything, and it's just motivates me to like have a great day and just keep on moving through what I got to move through and keep working and keep grinding and stick to my focus and everything like that. So if he can do that just over social media with somebody like me, imagine what he's like on the sidelines there with his players and like in their ear. And what I'm interested to find out about him being a head coach at a HBCU is he going to start pulling some of these higher rated kids to come and play at an HBCU like Jackson State?
Yeah, and to start a dynasty, HBCU dynasty. That'd be cool to see. He definitely knows his stuff. He's been on NFL Network for so long now, and he's smart when he's talking about football. And me too. Every morning I read his tweets, and that's one of the ways I start my morning. He fires me up every day to have a good day, and I really hope him the best, man. I think he'll do okay. Is it true that like Warren Sapp and all those guys are going to coach with him, or is that false?
I think he tried to deny it, right? Or at least some part of it. So maybe one of the guys was not accurate and he's denying the whole thing, but I'm sure he'll try to pull some talent if he's got the budget, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't even think like you don't have to have necessarily like a Florida State budget to be able to do that. I think some of these guys are like, if Deion's doing this for an HBCU, let me hop on board because we can do something special and then prove to everybody like, hey, they deserve to be recognized too. So, I mean, that's huge. The greatest part about the whole thing was like, I mean, if those are his coaches, that's over 84 years of NFL experience. So that's absolutely insane. Who wouldn't want to go play for that team in the first place when they know they know what they're doing? Mm-hmm. But on top of that, his entrance into the press conference was hilarious. Typical Prime fashion.
It's like the second coming of Jesus, man. It's like, man, it'd be cool if he gets like a big, awesome squad for staff, and they just like climb a ladder together and end up at like a big D1 school one day. That'd be pretty cool. But I don't know what his intentions are. So,
yeah, could you imagine, one day in the future us talking about the Deion Sanders coaching tree?
yeah. Hey, this is how things like this start.
You never know. Yeah, you never know.
Hey, it's quite the time to be alive if we're starting to imagine that.
Yeah, never thought I'd say that, man.
So I just switched gears to an Olagia Tallahassee Brewery, Indigo Sky.
I never had that.
I haven't had that one either.
Some kind of a fruit.
I've been to Algae a couple times, and they always they change stuff in and out, so it's really nice.
Very red. It's a lot of fruit in there. It looks kind of.
Oh yeah, look at that.
There's a fairly new brewery over in Sarasota called Calusa.
Yes.
I really want to go try that place out. It looks a lot of fun.
It's good.
I just was down in. Sorry, Brian.
Let's say if you hit Calusa, up just a little further north in Palmetto, there's another one called Corporate Ladder, and they're really solid as well.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah, there's a lot popping up in Tampa, St. Pete area.
I was just gonna say I was down in Tampa this past weekend it was actually my birthday, and so like my parents came over from they live in Polk County near Marshall as well, and they came over and we went to Coppertail over. I think is it in Ybor? I think it might be.
I think so.
Yeah, we tried. I didn't know IPAs or anything went up as high as they did. So like there's like a 4X and like 5X and all kinds of crazy stuff. And, like, it was nuts, and we had a great time. We didn't get to get the tour or anything just because they're not doing them right now based off of everything going on. But it was nice, just to go out there and taste a few beers you haven't tried before. So just really cool.
Have you guys done any like beer trips, like just pick up and fly somewhere just to go hit breweries?
I haven't gotten that hardcore yet, but I want to.
You guys have no idea how hardcore. If that's hardcore, you have no idea how hardcore I am. I've got buddies that reach out to me like, "Hey, let's go do a beer trip." And so for like the last 6 years up until this year, we just like flew somewhere like Denver, or we flew into Boston, rented a minivan, and just drove to Treehouse, Trillium, Hill Farmstead. We literally hit like 15 breweries in like 4 days, and then finished it back in Boston with a Red Sox game.
That's awesome.
There's some places to go.
I went out to the Boston College game last season, and we landed and we hit a brewery like right down the street from the TD Arena where the Celtics play, and there's one right there, and it was really good.
Do you remember the name of it?
I don't. I was just trying to think of it, but it was good. It was pretty good. Like you can see the arena like right there, and it was really cool. I love Boston. Boston's one of my favorite cities.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to that point yet, but I feel like I'm slowly working my way there. That's all I drink now is just like IPA. It's kind of funny, but yeah, I just love them. I love just being able, like you were talking about a palate earlier, Brian, is since I've gotten older, I kind of have, gotten this distinguished palate where I can like tell the different flavors and the hoppiness and everything in the beers. And it's just exciting to be like, wow, like this one just has so much more. And this one, yeah, and you can just tell like, oh, I like this one. I don't like this one. And I've got this little app called Untapped that I use, and I keep track of all my beers on there. So I feel like that's the first step in me, starting to take trips and everything.
Yeah. And sometimes you can get a little carried away with like the check-ins and taking pictures of the beer,
Mm-hmm.
I'll catch her sort of side-eyeing me sometimes, like, this is your 5th beer tonight. Like, do you really need to take another picture? Yeah, kind of.
I'm looking for this badge. I got to get this badge.
Yeah,
This is my life, dude. This is my life.
If you didn't take a picture of it, did you really drink it?
Exactly. You see how perfect the foam is on it? Like,
yeah, the two ultimate beer trips that I just could not recommend enough. One, go to Oktoberfest in Munich. You won't be disappointed. I promise you. And do it before you get married and have kids. Because it's you got to be sort of in drinking shape. You almost have to like condition yourself and do some training for it. Because it is the most fun you'll ever have. They didn't have it this year. I was actually hoping to go back this year on that beer trip. I was telling you about the annual guys beer trip. We were scheming to go back to Munich this year. But it's so much fun. You're in these tents. There's 10,000 people, I think. Maybe it's 8,000, but it's up there. People are wearing lederhosen. You've got girls wearing brindles. You've got the servers carrying like 10-liter steins of this amazing like Märzen German beer. And you've got the Oompa Loompa band just in the middle. They're playing classical German music mixed with a lot of like sort of modern or at least relatively recent hits. So one of the songs that's really popular that everybody just goes crazy over is John Denver Country Roads. They start playing, everybody's standing up on their benches, they're singing along. And for us Americans, we're sitting there like, yeah, we won World War II.
Yeah. A guy me and Caleb know, Giles Ansley, went, I think, last year, and he said it was, I mean, the videos you showed me were absurd. He said it was so much fun. He was arm wrestling Canadians all day. Like,
yeah. It gets a little nuts, there's an interesting crowd there. Depending on which weekend you go, you might have a contingent from Italy coming up, like the second weekend of Oktoberfest. All the Italians come up with their campers and stuff. But you're just enjoying the whole time. It's a lot of fun.
That is a lot of fun.
Another beer trip, I would say, if you haven't been to Denver, definitely do that.
I've been to Denver before. It was fun.
Yeah.
We actually got caught. We were with my friend from Denver, and we had just got done. We went camping out in the Rocky Mountains, drinking Coors Light all weekend, and then we head back into Denver after a couple of days. We caught a lightning storm, and we run into the nearest bar we can find, trying to get out of it. The lightning up there is different up in the mountains. It's crazy. I thought I was about to die. And we run in this random bar, and we look up. There's a giant FSU banner. And
nice.
What the heck? We're in Colorado. We go to the bartender. Why is that there? The Knolls of the Rockies. It's like they own this bar. Like this, it's like a Florida State bar. We're like, well, this is meant to be. And I drank like Pikes Peak and a bunch of like good stuff like that. It was a fun night. I love Denver's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I the only for the furthest west, not furthest west, but the only West Coast trip I've ever made was out to LA. So I didn't really get a chance to like hit Denver or anything. But speaking out there, it's a little different out there when it comes to, like their breweries and things. I mean, they still have them, but it's not as prevalent as, like Denver or, I mean, down here, especially in, the East Coast. It's just such a huge thing out here, but they have some good beers out there, just not as big as it is, over here on the East Coast. But I'm really looking forward. Now that you say that, I'm going to start, like laying out a map and pinning like breweries and spots I got to go.
There's a lot of places to see and a lot of different beers to try. So grab some buddies and just, you can do it. You can do it up pretty easily. Just plot a route. Like for a city like Denver, you don't even have to do much planning. There's something like 70 different breweries in sort of the Denver area, if you include Fort Collins and surrounding cities. So you can just literally stumble down the street and hit like 2 or 3 bars just in walking distance. And when you go to Oktoberfest, pop into Brussels and hit Belgium a little bit as well.
Man.
And take a connecting flight.
I'll definitely have to shoot you a text then. Now that I got your number, whenever I do go like over to Europe and everything.
I am like the Rain Man of beer. So.
That'd be heaven going to Belgium. That's my favorite beer.
Yeah, Belgium it's ridiculous. Like,
all right, boys.
Yeah,
you ready to move over to some football?
Let's do it.
It's Miami.
All right. So, yeah, go ahead, Marshall. You ready? You're 0-3 as a student.
About to be 0-4, I think. We got Nazruddin back, right? I've heard he's going to be back in the rotation. And Kando back, I hope. I don't think that's going to be enough, though, because James Blackman's taking the rock again. I think Miami's a better team, man. I just believe that. If everything goes right for us, I think we can put up – I think we're going to fight a lot more than we have in the past couple of years and keep it close. But I got to see it to believe it, you know?
So, I think the big news ultimately is that Mike Norvell, of course.
Yeah, on the freaking sideline.
Gets coronavirus the week before, the rivalry game. And there's been so much talk on Twitter. I'm sure you've seen it, Brian, about like conspiracy theories of like, and a lot of it's Miami fans just being, trying to get under our skin and what they usually do. And for some reason, it just always works. For a lot of people, it gets under skin. I just choose not to pay attention to them because ultimately their fan base is not like ours. So
their fan base is horrible.
Yeah, I can't stand it. So but it was my birthday this past Saturday, and I just get a notification while I'm waiting for my beer, and it just says Mike Norvell. Or it was in my group chat with Marshall and all of our other buddies, and it's Mike Norvell has COVID. It's like, you gotta be kidding me. Like the first coach to get it, and of course it's our coach in his first year and going up into the rivalry game. And I was just like, you gotta be shitting me, dude. Like it couldn't have happened to any other team but us.
The bright side is he kind of has a double mulligan. He doesn't have to play Miami or Florida in his first year, so he has another year to get ready for that. So
if we win, do you not get credit for it?
Yeah, we'll give him credit then, but if we lose, we won't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a huge shocker, but I think we have a little bit of a better shot than most people think in this game. I know everybody's not high on us right now after the loss to GT, but honestly, I don't think we came out thinking like, hey, we need to actually play our best here to beat this team. I think we're thinking, hey, it's Georgia Tech. Like they're in a new system. Like all of our fan base is thinking. I think the players are thinking the same thing. So obviously Miami, their Garrett King looks legit, somewhat. Not necessarily sold on his passing abilities yet, but I think Knighton showed, why he is, the guy down there in Miami last weekend. And also, I think Brevin Jordan is like a legit tight end. So
their defense looked good too. They're rocking for most of that game. What about you, Brian? What do you think?
I'm a fan. I'm not a college football expert, so it doesn't matter what my head says. I'm never going to pick Miami.
Yeah,
I have had a lifelong hate for Miami, starting with that first game in 1991, wide right #1.
That had to be tough.
Yeah, I've been to more Miami losses than I'd like to admit.
So is that your rival that you like hate the most?
Yeah, more than Florida. It's Miami.
I'm glad I picked you to come on this week then.
Yeah.
When I graduated from Florida State, my first job was actually in Miami in 2000. So I lived down in Miami from 2000 to 2004, just as the U came back. And I was at that 2000 game when they beat us at the end. And it was kind of a gut punch. We were kind of riding in because we had embarrassed Miami for the several years before that. We had just absolutely owned them. And we go into this 2000 game, and all of a sudden Miami just turns it around. And we left that stadium after the loss, and little Havana had turned into little Mogadishu. There were Miami fans, like literally, because I don't know if you guys ever been to the old Orange Bowl?
No, I was about to ask.
Never had a chance.
Oh, God, it was such a dump. Their baseball stadium now. There was no parking, so you're paying some guy like $30 to park in his driveway with like 20 other cars blocking you in. and the roads out of the stadium area were just log jammed. So we're sitting there in traffic for like 2 hours, completely sunburned, and you've got Miami fans like burning everything of Florida State that they could get their hands on. So there's like FSU flags, like, and T-shirts burning in the middle of the street, and you're just trying to get the hell out of there because we lost to Miami for the first time in like 4 or 5 years. So that's always gonna be burned in my memory, and I will never. I don't care if our entire team comes down with Ebola, 2 weeks before, and we're playing walk-ons. I'm never gonna pick Miami. It's Florida State all day, every day. It's a rivalry game. I don't think the talent gap is as big as people are playing it up to be. I think once you get the emotions involved, we're a little bit more, our backs are against the wall. If our team shows up, fired up, wanting to actually win this game, they can do it. It's happened the other way way too many times than I'd like to admit. But we can Miami if we want to.
One thing that gives me hope is Norvell preaches the most out of anything, responding to like adversity. That's something that Taggart didn't even touch. I haven't heard any of our players on Twitter this week. I think we will try to put out our best game this weekend. That gives me hope. And it's a great opportunity to shock the world better than we've had in the past couple of years. I hate Miami too, man. Way more than Florida. Florida's like a family reunion kind of with like cousins you don't like, but they're kind of cool. It's just screw you. Miami's just straight. We hate each other. It's nasty. I'm here last season. Some Miami fans gone to the student section, and I almost got kicked out of the stadium. It was so bad. They're horrible, and none of them went there. None of them. They're bad. I can't say too much on here.
It's hard to compliment Miami.
It's extremely hard. My experience with Miami was when I was down there in 2018, so Willie Taggart's first year. Oh my God. So I'm in this great, like, they have these little like bar section, standing room, but you have a bar, like it's like a private standing area only, but you have a bar behind you, so you can just walk back to the bar, walk back up to the thing and watch the game. And so we have those tickets, and we're up 28 to 0 or 3 or something crazy like that. And I am talking the most shit in the world to every single Miami fan that's like, because it's right next to the stands and the seats. So I'm just like pointing out people and yelling at them, and being an opposing fan in an opposing team stadium. And after halftime, I was nothing but quiet. And it was on the verge of things being thrown at me, and all those people that I was talking to before were yelling some very obscene things to me and throwing some obscene gestures at me as well, telling me to get the fuck out of there. So eventually I did at the end of the third quarter, and I am very glad that I did, because I was telling my girlfriend, I was like, hey, we got to get out of here, because something bad is most likely going to happen if we don't. So that was my bad experience. I hated that game. Walking into the game, there was just like a stripper pole with like people all over. Like, I don't understand what their tailgating thing is, dude. Like, whatever. It's Miami, and that's how it's going to be. So, but like Marshall was saying, dude, I didn't see a lot of players on social media this week, so I'm thinking we're a little bit more, focused coming into this one.
I hope so.
Yeah. When that hurricane warning flag comes up at practice, it's business, I hope it is.
Why do people get mad about that, by the way?
I don't know, because it kind of, I don't know. I can't really explain it, but I understand why. It's like a hurricane flag up at practice, but we do it to piss ourselves off. Like, you should get mad at that. Like, it's Miami week. It's different.
Yeah. Hopefully it kicks it up an extra notch, like a little extra motivation. Guys, like, we have the Hurricanes coming right now. Like, this is the week. It's not next week. It's not later in the season. Like, this is Miami week.
Right now.
Settle down and get ready.
I ultimately just want to see somebody put Derek King into the ground, dude. Like, put him on his ass. Like, please, like, if he's gonna escape the fucking pocket like he tries to do and throw on the run, like, bring Amari Gainer off, have him spy, and then just as soon as he sees him take off, just go right after him and put him on his ass. That's all I want.
I want Marvin Wilson to sit on his face, take his helmet off, sit on his face, and take a shit. Like that's where I'm at right now. Like, that year we knocked out Brad Kaya's tooth. That's probably the happiest I've ever been. I probably peaked in my life in that moment. I was so happy. I was like, let's go. Knocked out his tooth. His molar.
Didn't he like pick it up off the ground?
Yeah. He's like, I heard him explain it. It sounded like it hurt. He said it got smashed. It didn't even get hit. It's like it got smashed out of his mouth.
Oh man!
So it probably broke into a lot of pieces, but
yeah, it like shattered it. I love it.
And so, like, another thing I want to see different from last year is, so I was at the game last year as well, and we're just getting our teeth smashed in by Miami, and our players are helping their players up off the ground. For me, I'm an ultimate competitor. Like, I don't care if we're playing badminton or like beer pong for, whatever. Like, it's when it comes down to it, your competition is your competition, especially when it's a rival like Miami who you're not supposed to like, and you're sitting there helping people off the ground. I left the game and I was having a conniption about that. And like, I had people telling me like, calm down. I'm like, don't tell me to calm down. Like, there's a problem when we're helping Miami players up off the ground and like we're getting our ass beat by 20 points. That shouldn't be happening. And I was just losing my mind. So hopefully, that demeanor towards this game has changed a little bit.
Yeah, I always go back. I've said this before on here, but just the hatred in Odell Higgins' eyes when he shook Dan Mullen's hand after the Florida beat us last year. Like, he's a Knoll through and through, and just that he was so mad. That's what it should be. I wouldn't say hatred. Hate's a strong word. Nah, you should hate him. Yeah, it should be a hate. I'll say it. It's how it is, man. You're battling the recruits with these schools. Like, you got to beat them. We have to.
I agree, and that's the thing with the rivalry. Like, Willie Taggart talked like he was a lifelong FSU fan, and you didn't really see that translate into these rivalry games.
He was a fan.
He was a fan, right? He just didn't really he didn't help foster that hatred. He didn't really help get the team fired up. Even Urban Meyer, when he was at Florida, as much as I hate Urban Meyer, he got it, right? He got the Florida team fired up, and they hated Florida State when it was time for us to play them.
They don't even name it in Gainesville. They call it the team out west.
Yeah. We didn't see any of that from Willie Taggart. Supposedly a Florida State fan. He just was like indifferent the whole time.
I just feel at the moment, I feel like when he got the job, he was like, he thought he could do it. And I go back to that Virginia Tech game, you listen to the pregame interview on the sideline, he had just thrown up in the bathroom. When he walked into that atmosphere, he was freaking out on camera. He was freaking out. I don't think he realized the weight that spear holds.
Yeah.
And I just think it's got away from him. I think the players were more alpha than him. I mean, if you're going to coach Florida State, you got to be that guy. Pre 2013 Jimbo and post, but like Jimbo was that kind of guy. Bobby Bowden was that kind of guy. Bobby Bowden built that mentality, really. But it's just Florida State. We don't have a million national championships like Alabama. But we haven't been playing since the 1800s. We got good in the 80s, and now we've accomplished just as much, or not more, than Florida, who's been playing for way longer than us. Like, our standard got just taken straight to the top. And I think we are historically one of the best programs in the country, and that's what the fans expect. Call us spoiled, but like, we have to win. We have to.
We know that's the thing. We know nothing but it. So that's the problem when you don't win as a head coach here. Like, I know, at Florida, you can give a guy 4 years to try and figure it out. Not here. Like we don't have the time for that. Like we just don't. Like if you're not going to get the job done, you got to get out. Like that's how it's going to be. I mean, the longest person we gave any time to was Bobby B, and that's after he accomplished everything that he had already accomplished, and he had already, that's tenure in my opinion. Like, and it's not like he dropped the ball. He dropped the ball when it came to hiring his coaches, and that's just, you know, blinders up because it's your family. So I mean, I understand it, but at the end of the day, like the fan base still loved him just because of what he, you know, turned us into. I mean, we were nothing. We were women's college, for Christ's sakes. Like, and now we have 3 national championships to equal Florida's 3 national championships, and they've been around for hundreds of years as a football team. So,
and don't forget, we did it first. Like, you know, Florida didn't get theirs till '96. We had ours in '96.
Yeah, we had one before they did, and they were around way before us. And I hate that. Yes, they're winning the all-time series against us, but the governor forced them to play us first of all because they didn't want to play us, and they beat it. We're a high school team for the first 20 years. If you look at the record from the time Bobby Bell coached to now, we're kicking their ass. Yeah. Like as the time when we became a respectable program to now, we're so much better. Such a more storied program. So much more fun to be a fan of, especially when we're good. Like, UF. It's like the red guys and no one likes.
Bad years, it's good to be a Knoll fan.
Yeah, it is good. It's good to be a Knoll fan.
Oh, it's fantastic. I wouldn't trade it for, you know, the life of me. Like I said, I grew up a Gator, and I can't stand them anymore. I talked to my dad, who's a Gator. It's just not the same. The mentality's different up here and like around our fan base. It's like we expect nothing less than, you know, above average.
9-10 wins, decent. Hey, Marshall just said he'll come on the pod, Caleb. Just saying.
Aren't you Marshall?
No, Highland, the guy on the team.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, he can come on?
Yeah, he said he will. Not now, but in the future.
So, yeah, a little background on that, Brian. Marshall has a friend named Marshall who's on the team.
Well, he's actually a player on the team.
Yeah, so he tried for 3 years to walk on. He's a beast. I used to work out with him, and kid is a freak of nature. And he tried for 3 years to walk on, and this year he finally got on the team. He's the only white DB on the team. He's gross.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and he just told me he said he had a 16-hour day today, like with the team. So they must be getting after it.
They're really practicing hard. That's good.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome news to hear. Yeah,
this
what you got now?
Pontoon.
Oh, that's a sweet.
Is that
barrel aged brownie batter blend number 2, 13.9%.
Wow.
The owner of the brewery, it's a local one here in the Roswell, Sandy Springs area. Gator grad. I tried not to drink his beer for the longest time, but it's pretty good. So, you know, I won't drink it. When we do play Florida, but he puts out some pretty solid stuff.
Yeah, most of my family went to Florida. It's very annoying, so I have to tolerate them. They're all right. They're just kind of off.
Yeah.
All right, you're gonna hop into this beer review.
Sure.
All right. So I don't know if you've ever tried it, Brian, but this was actually recommended to me by our friend Marshall here. So go ahead and break us down on what beer we are drinking and, you know, a kind of little background on it, if you will.
Talking to me?
Yeah. Who else are we talking
to? All right. Sorry. Yeah, Rome City IPA. It's out of Lakeland, Florida. Lakeland's the biggest city in Polk County, and it's like the size of Tallahassee. It's not that big, but I like it a lot. It's really good. The story about Rome City, the name is Lakeland is almost named Rome City, because all Rome, the city of Rome, all roads lead to Rome, and like all the roads, I-4, like all the roads lead to Lakeland. But they ended up naming it Lakeland. It was actually supposed to be named Winter Haven, and Winter Haven's supposed to be named Lakeland because of all the lakes, but it got mixed up somehow. But it's got a lot of hops, it's really good.
Is it more of a Western style, West Coast style, or?
No, I wouldn't say so. I don't know. I haven't tasted anything else like it. I'm not as big an expert as you, so I don't really know. But
it's real juicy.
Kind of hazy.
Yeah, a little bit of haze. I mean, you guys can kind of see it in the glass right now. So that's what I'm drinking right now. It's not super hazy, but I mean, you can honestly see, you can't in the camera right now, or you can kind of see the particles floating around in there and everything. So it's slightly hazy, but not super hazy. It's juicy. It's, in my opinion, it's the perfect like blend of the two. And I mean, you don't get that very often. I mean, you can't say it's perfect, but it's right on the head there. Like Marshall was saying, it's got, it's got great history behind it. The name of the beer itself. It's got a great blend of the hops and the juices along with it. And, it's perfect for, Polk County, in my opinion, because the juices are, that citrus flavor, and that's what Polk County is known for, is for their citrus flavor and, oranges overall. So a really great beer, in my opinion, and I'm glad Marshall kind of introduced this one to me.
I can walk outside and pick an orange off a tree right now if I wanted to. Sure.
Are you in Oakland right now?
I'm in Frostproof, which is a small town in South Polk County. It's all orange groves out here, buddy.
Yeah,
it's all Oh, yeah.
In Sarasota. So
okay.
We used to have some orange orchards out there. I think it's called Albritton.
Yeah. I know the Albritons. Oh, yeah. I mean, Ben Hill Griffin Stadium at UF. I'm friends with that family. They live here. Yeah, it's all Gators around here. I'm an outcast.
Yeah, all my guy friends from high school went to UF. And then all the girls went to Florida State. And I actually got into both. And I was like, after that Miami game in '91, I was pretty set on going to Florida State.
It sounds like you picked the right place.
I did. Yeah. Best decision of my life.
Yeah. Gators is a big sausage fest. That's all it is.
Yeah. I used to go to Gator Growl with friends in high school. Like we'd be 16, 17, rolling up to Gainesville doing Gator Growl and drinking at all the parties and stuff. But I just never felt like home like Tallahassee did.
Oof. Gainesville it's kind of a growth thing. Like, I don't know. It's definitely in a swamp. It's what you feel like. It's a swampy.
It doesn't feel like a tight atmosphere. Like when I went and visited, it's so spread apart and everything like that. And so it's just kind of an awkward, setup, or not awkward, but just different than what I would like expecting. And I didn't even visit Tallahassee like before I made the decision to go to Florida State. So when I got on campus, it was like, this is exactly what I was asking for. Everything's right here. Like I don't have to go too far for anything. And not only that, but every single day I was on campus walking to a class or anything, I saw somebody I knew. And like that was the greatest aspect of it, is that no matter what, I could be doing whatever on campus and I'm going to see somebody I know. And that was one of the coolest aspects of going to Florida State for me.
Yeah, Florida State, big school, but it doesn't feel like it. That's the best part about it. Gainesville, like Gator games the swamp is loud, but that stadium's a dump too.
Yeah.
It's like, don't ever change it. I mean, it caught on fire last week, for God's sake. Like,
yeah, what was it actually in the stadium? The fire? I remember seeing the tweets about it.
It was a golf cart that caught on fire inside the stadium.
Gotcha. If only they had that random can of gasoline like 2 feet from there that started the domino effect.
Yeah, I don't know. But Gator games, I mean, they can be fun. I love going to FSU UF games when we win. That's just the best. When you hear the war chant ringing through the swamp, there's nothing better than that.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you earlier, what was I never been to the Orange Bowl, the old Orange Bowl. I know you said it was a dump, but I feel like that was the last time Miami had a real orthodox college football feel to it when they had that stadium. It was like their swamp, you know?
It was a dump. It had character.
Yeah.
There was a lot of
I heard
history.
it was loud.
Huh?
I heard it was like low key loud. Like it was just like it had its own natural loudness to it.
It was because the bleachers were kind of squeezed in a little bit, so there was a chance that you were going to be in a seat in one of the middle decks, and there'd be a freaking pole right in front of you. It was like
it's like you're on a cruise. You got the pole.
Yeah, you got like there's your seat and there's a freaking pole right in front of you.
Man, this seat was $20. Now I don't know why. Gee.
Yeah. It was it was old. I don't know if you guys have been to any of the old baseball stadiums, like like the Red Sox Stadium.
Old Yankee Stadium was like that.
Old Yankee Stadium.
Wrigley Field, yeah.
It's from a different era. There's character to it. The surrounding area was really what sort of held the Orange Bowl back. They didn't have enough land to really support a large stadium, so they didn't have ample parking. They didn't have good avenues to sort of get onto the was it the 836 or the 826? I forget which the name of it.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you would just get stuck in traffic just trying to get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, I mean, now they're playing what a 30-minute drive from their
they're in
crazy.
I feel like for students, and like I said, that was the last time Miami had like a real college football feel to it.
Yeah.
Now they have to drive up to where the Dolphins play? It's not even Miami.
Hard Rock Stadium. It's
no, it's not Coral Gables. They had to go to
Coral Gables. Oh, it's in. Never mind. I'm sorry. That's where the university
campus is in Coral Gables.
Yeah.
It's like way north, and like literally, it is barely in Miami-Dade. Like another mile or two, and they'd be up. Was it Broward County, just north of
right there.
Yeah. So they're barely even playing in their home county.
Is it like Fort Lauderdale area? Like it's like something like that.
Yeah.
It's like right in between Miami and Fort Lauderdale, which makes no. I mean, it might be closer to Fort Lauderdale, and
I think it is. Yeah.
Fort Lauderdale's fun. I know that.
Go ahead, Brian.
I was saying when I lived down there, 2000 to 2004. There were several times I was living in Coral Gables. We would go up to Fort Lauderdale to go out. So Coconut Grove was fun, which is kind of near Coral Gables, but Fort Lauderdale, that's where we got into most of our trouble.
Yeah, I go to. Have you ever been to Tortuga?
No.
Nah, I go there. Not this year, but I try to go there pretty much every year. It's like that big country music festival on the beach in Fort Lauderdale. It's amazing. It's insane.
That sounds awesome.
It's like Kenny Chesney comes like every year. It's just
I mean, I love it down there. It's a great place to visit. I would never, ever live down there ever again.
Yeah.
It's a place to start a career, but being that close to Miami fans and it's a fun place. Just
it's
not
good to visit.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's another culture. It's nuts.
It is. I'd be sitting in traffic, like rush hour traffic, and you got you guys in like Mercedes just like doing 80 miles per hour on the shoulder, just flying past everybody.
And they probably rented it too.
Yeah.
Everyone has a Lambo, but they all rent them.
Yeah.
That's my
a lot of money down there.
Yeah.
Just like their turnover chain.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. This weekend. They got the knuckles.
Yeah, it says
crib.
I hope.
Who pays for that? Ed Reed?
Oh man.
Ed Reed. What was the guy? There was a guy that helped get them in trouble.
Oh yeah, who is that guy?
The rapper dude.
Neville Levine.
Yeah, so the 30 for 30 on the U is pretty entertaining.
He ran a Ponzi scheme and was donating a bunch of money to Miami, was paying off players. And the NCAA completely dropped the ball. Like Miami should have gotten some serious sanctions.
Like SMU got the death penalty. Miami should have definitely got. I'm glad they didn't. I wouldn't wish the death penalty on my worst enemy.
No, I want Miami to get the death penalty.
Really? You want to just gone?
Yeah, I want him just done. Just wipe him off the map.
Did you tweet that like today or like a day or two ago?
Yeah. My dying wish is Miami to get the death penalty. Just no respect. I will give no respect to that.
I mean, I wouldn't be mad. I'd be like, dang, they killed SMU, the Pony Express, man.
Yeah,
it is. It's Luther Campbell.
Okay.
That was the first time in the 90s.
Yeah.
So the late 90s, they were really bad. I went to a game and we blew them out. It might have been like 90, 98 or something like that. God, I'm getting old, man. The years are starting to blend together. Let me tell you, once you have kids, you just every day just evaporates. But anyway, so there was some guy that was running some kind of a Ponzi scheme, and he was paying for like Miami players' abortions, taking recruits to strip clubs in South Beach, like literally death penalty type stuff. And they got zero. They did a self-imposed penalty of like a bowl ban and a couple of reduced scholarships, but the NCAA dropped the ball and just completely dropped it.
In typical NCAA fashion.
Yeah.
It's not surprising.
Yeah. So I've got this deep-seated hatred for Miami. I've got a mutual respect with Florida. Miami's a different level. And, I'm really glad you guys, picked me to have me on the show.
Yeah, that's perfect.
It was perfect, and we appreciate you coming on. So before we all head off and everything, I just want to get your score prediction and who you think's gonna win.
Oh man, so you want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead, Brian. All you.
I'm gonna say 24-17 Florida State.
Any particular reason?
I will never pick Miami to win. I don't care if you're number one and we're unranked and Deion Sanders is our head coach. I'm going to pick Florida State to win every time. I might not put money against it, but I'm going to pick Florida State.
Marshall, what you got?
All right. You've inspired me because I always used to say the same thing, but we've been down on our luck lately. Is that Logan? What up,
Logan? What's good, gentlemen? Who needs a natty ice? Yeah,
you're nasty, dude.
I don't know if you know Logan, but I'm sure you follow No Game Day.
I joined their Patreon just a couple weeks ago.
That's awesome. Yeah. So he's actually a pretty good friend of mine, and we keep in contact pretty often and everything. And he's done absolutely great things with No Game Day, but he is the biggest fan of Natty Ice. He has a whole wall in his place.
He's on the show last week
of Natty Ice, just boxes.
Like he came on the show last week, Logan. Yeah,
he's like wallpapering the wall with it.
Yeah. He like turned his camera. Like, you know what? We can do it for this podcast. We were like, ew, that's nasty.
Life's too short to drink that stuff. Man. I don't drink quantity anymore. I drink quality, right?
Oh, yeah.
And Natty Ice, Logan. I mean, love your Florida State coverage and all your insight knowledge. But if you need beer tips, come here.
All right, Marshall, prediction.
All right, I was saying earlier that I used to say the same thing. I would never pick Miami, but these past few years have made that tough on me. But you've inspired me, Brian. I think our defense can show up this week. Our defense can definitely fill their potential and fix all the kinks they're in, and maybe we can get our offense rolling enough to win. And I'm going to say 21-20 Florida State.
Yeah.
Are you going block at the rock round 2?
Oh, yeah. or a missed field goal. I'd just make it so much sweeter.
Call your side.
Just a pure miss, not a block.
Call your side.
Wide left.
There you go.
Yeah, I originally to start this week, I was not high on us, unfortunately, just because Miami's pieces. But I started to break it down a little bit more, and we're actually a very good matchup for them. I pay a lot of attention to, matchups when it comes down to these things, not just, fandom, even though sometimes I'm just like drinking the Kool-Aid and want to hammer the spread on us every single game. But I feel comfortable with us. I know it's going to be an away game, but I mean, it's Hard Rock, so we don't necessarily have a hard time playing down there. Yeah, it doesn't matter to us.
It's gonna be empty. It's gonna be scrimmage. It's gonna be big on big.
We're lucky it's not their IPF field that's only 60 yards long. So
that never gets old, man.
How do you practice on a 60-yard field?
Why even build it, or just make it 50 yards? I guess. Like
why 60?
Yeah,
60. It's stupid. Whatever. But the hard part with me, it comes down to, is to play out of James Blackman. Chuba's back in practice, apparently throwing with no contact. So I'm sure he's not going to be cleared for contact in 3 days. But I would rather have Chuba in this game. I'm sorry, but I'm over the James Blackman everything. It's not going to work out, and like half of it's not his fault, but half of it is. So if he can. Ultimately, we just need him to do short passes and the running backs to find holes. Defense is going to be the defense. I mean, we got takeaways last game. It looked good. Sante Samuel looks legit at corner. I think Tyrion Jones was just trying to, that touchdown that he got turned around on and whatever, didn't look back and just got stopped. So, I mean, I think he'll be playing better this week as well. He's got a little bit more comfort in the system. So we had a bye week, so it's 2 weeks removed from that game. I'm going to take Florida State 24-17.
Very nice.
Same score.
I like it. I don't think it's going to be super high scoring, just based off of,
It's going to be nasty. Blackman. We're going to be scratching and clawing this game. I really believe that.
Yeah.
So looking at we have a really good slate this week for the whole college football schedule. Y'all give me one hot take or freezing cold take for a score prediction for any other game. Just one.
Shit, I don't even know who's playing.
No.
All right, I'll name out some good ones. I'm looking at it right now. We got Kansas State, Oklahoma, Florida, Ole Miss, Kentucky, Auburn. We got Pitt and Louisville. It's going to be a good football game. We got LSU, Mississippi State, Texas Tech, West Virginia, Oklahoma State. Any more? South Carolina, Tennessee. That's really about it. Virginia Tech, NC State. Any of those ring any bells?
God, it was one of the first ones. I don't remember who.
I'll kick it off.
Yeah.
Lane Train, Ole Miss beating Florida this weekend.
I
believe it.
That would be amazing. Kentucky versus Tennessee, was it?
Kentucky versus
Auburn.
I think and Tennessee, who's playing who?
South Carolina. At South Carolina.
Yeah, that one's pretty much a draw. That could go either way there.
I can't believe that Tennessee ranked 16th. That's bold. Very bold.
Yeah. I mean, Pruitt's been doing a great job recruiting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Pruitt. The end of last season, Tennessee was looking – they improved a lot. At the end of the season, they were playing good ball. But I don't know how it's going to transition into this year.
Yeah, so my pick is going to be it's going to be an upset, and it's going to be Kentucky winning against Auburn this weekend. It's their head coach, man, Stoops, one of our ex-coach defensive coordinators. So I think he's got it more put together. I need to see more from Bo Nix, and I don't know if I'm going to see that. So
right after last season, I picked Bo Nix to win the Heisman this season and Auburn to make the playoff. I'm not very high on those predictions anymore, but Gus Malzahn hits the lottery once every 5 years. Once every 5 years, he hits the lottery. I think this season might be it. But I do 10% agree with you that they could lose.
Man, So I agree with you. I think Kentucky's got a great chance. I'm looking at the lineups here, the different games. I think, great upset, Kentucky. South Carolina, if Tennessee's sort of believing the hype, South Carolina could easily sneak up on them. Will he always seems to get that team up for like 1 or 2 games a year, and they've had enough time to sort of think about this game. I think there's a good shot that South Carolina could sneak up on that.
Oh, Muschamp, baby. Oh, Muschamp. Yeah. I hated him at Florida, but I kind of like Muschamp now.
Yeah. There's a problem with believing the hype. I think our players believed the hype when we were going up against Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
And I believe that they're good, and they don't really necessarily put in the work to back up that performance. So
yeah, our players have to learn to really strip back the hype again. Like 2013, I remember Jimbo Fisher said in the beginning of the season that these kids want to be special, and they were so focused. And right after we won a national championship, Jimbo Fisher first thing he said these kids wanted to be special. They wanted to do this, and they didn't listen to anyone. And that's a big part of winning in this league, I feel like. So I'll get off the box.
Which team shows up?
Yeah. You got to do it.
Yeah.
You can't just talk about it.
Be about it.
It's the rivalry. You got to, play like there's just no option of losing that game. And you just have to leave it all out in that field.
Mm-hmm.
And do that. If we show up and play hard, we'll kick Miami's ass.
Yeah, we can only hope that that's the case, that, they kind of changed their ways this week. So, Brian, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was a pleasure talking to you. I can't wait to anytime I go to a brewery, I'm just going to automatically think of you, or anytime I have
Me too.
I'm going to text you and be like, hey, man, have you tried this one? Like, and that's all I'm going to be doing from here on out. It was great to, connect with you. It's great to have a friend in you as well and have you on. And I look forward to, future things. And maybe one day we'll eventually be able to meet up in person once all this crap is over with. So I just want to thank you again for coming on. You got any words, Marshall?
Thank you, man. It's great to meet you. Sorry I didn't text back in our group chat all day. I was busy. I face to face. I texted you right before the show, and then now I finally get to meet you. So
yeah, I really appreciate you having me on. This was a lot of fun. As far as doing a podcast, this was great. I enjoyed the conversation. I am a little OCD, Rain Man-ish with the beer stuff. So a number. I might not know every single beer, but if you talk about styles, I can describe it to you. And if you ever want to do some type of a beer trip, just hit me up for advice. I've got lots of great places I've gone in the world. So
definitely.
I'm taking you with me, dude.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're getting an invite. You're taking over there. You're leading the way.
It's literally an annual thing, right? And my wife is just so supportive. She's like, "Yeah, go out with your buddies. We'll pick a destination. We'll fly out there, and it's just how many breweries can we fit in like a 3 or 4 day window."
That's awesome.
Hey, you got a good one then. Yeah.
You have no idea.
well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you again, Brian. And hopefully this weekend turns out like we all hope it will. And go Noles.
Go Noles.